and welcome to the latest Wind in the Willows video review. As you've probably noticed, I'm going with a different episode than I planned. It's actually Monster of the Wildwood today. A viewer very kindly commented that he was a bit surprised that I was going with the Kidnapping of Toad, and the reason being, when I sorted the episodes out in order, it was around the time of the event. So obviously Halloween and Bonfire Night take place on certain days, and the episodes are planned around the time, and I've realised that it's actually better to upload them before the event than after, if that makes sense. So I'm going with Monster of the Wildwood this week because of course Halloween's coming up in the week, and then we'll follow up with Remember, which is the Bonfire Night episode, so that'll be a little bit before Bonfire Night itself, and then we'll pick up with the Kidnapping of Toad. So apologies for any confusion there, I'm sure you won't mind, but it just makes more sense to go with Monster of the Wildwood today. So without any ado, let's get straight into it. Let's play right now, and it's an absolute pleasure to be doing this one because I do love this one. This of course was well, I regard it as a bit of a classic episode because it was on the Autumn Antics video, of course. It was the middle one, and that's the first time I saw it when I got that video back in the day. And it's directed by Francis Foes, who originally employed me at Cosgrove Hall, and he did some wonderful episodes. I think this was one of his first, and it's a great episode. It's great to get ones like this that are themed around an event that we all, well, most of us celebrate. I'm not around, unfortunately, this Halloween. I'm actually travelling up to Manchester for the talk that I'm doing, and I'll last week I posted details on that, and I'll post some more this week. A few people have been asking if I could record it. I will try. I'll see if that's possible for those who can't be there, but it is a talk about my Wind in the Willows collection. So, Monster of the Wildwood, I like that it takes place, again, it's why it's very apt for now, you know, with the days leading up to Halloween, and then culminates with the day after, so of course 1st of November. Yeah, so as you can see, it's already got this lovely, I love that transition from the titles into the animation there. Not even animation, that would have been like a live action pump, I think, get the water flowing there. And interestingly, Mole and Badger are only in this scene, and Ratty, I should say. Sorry, Badger, I'm getting it wrong. Sorry, Ratty and Mole are only in this scene. Badger pops up again later. We've got these youngsters, and it's got a lovely sort of childlike feel. Halloween, of course, it's exciting for everyone. Mostly it's for, you know, children going out to do trick or treating, of course. But I've certainly been to many parties as an adult as well. So it's a nice little opening. It's sort of, they're all getting things ready. It's all really exciting. And I like the fact that Halloween hasn't actually been mentioned yet. Everybody's sort of alluding to it, that it's coming up. By Ratty's saying, "Oh, they'll frighten me to death." And oh yeah, Ratty's just mentioned it there, but. And then Badger goes into a speech now about the railway and the fact that it's coming, and it's kind of, you know, and it's important because it kind of bookends the episode. An absolute key to the episode is the railway problem, of course, and there's make a metaphor out of well, the steam traction engine being a monster, and hence the title Monster of the Wildwood. And I like that because really that's the way the creatures view it. It is a monster. Toad obviously takes it literally. And it's beautifully constructed around that. It's a lovely sort of, you know, that sort of contrast between sort of the actual reality of this event, this threat that they're all facing, versus this childlike idea of a monster at Halloween. It's a really beautiful idea for an episode. Toad, of course, brightening up the screen here. Yeah, and when Brian Schumann sort of constructed the order of these episodes, very cleverly, you know, looking at every month, and what events there are in the months. And of course, Halloween makes sense for October. Bonfire Night is obviously very close, so these two episodes are very closely sort of, you know, they obviously take place very close to each other. But it's such a good idea, and then we've got a Christmassy episode with Tunnels and Tremors, although it's not about Christmas as such. But I love to see wild shots like this. You see actually less of them in series 4 and 5. It became more of a talking head show, but thank God we've got these wonderful establishing shots showing the 4 of them like that. So I love how Toad's trying to hide the fact that he's all excited about Halloween and making out that he's out for a run, you know, just wants to.
Would you care for a cup of tea and a biscuit or two? Oh, by Jove, yes. The energy, calories, you know, and all that.
So it's still alluding to the fact that, well, he was running, he's not, you know, he chose to go running and he's going focusing on that. Now he's lied already, so he's not going to do anything about it. But he's trying to disguise the fact that he is by saying he's putting a party on for the youngsters. And of course he'll be the centre of that, as Badger's already alluding to. And even though this is, you know, we haven't got Paul Berry, no, we haven't got Barry Purvis, but there were still some very fine animators who understood Toad. Arguably the most complex character to animate. His mannerisms are absolutely working here. You know, the fact that, you know, Badger's onto something here. You know, he's speaking the truth. What a great line there. I am not one for pushing myself into the fourth funk. I love that cut there, the same line, jolly good. And here we see his Toad's kitchen, which we don't see that often, really. I mean, pops up a few times in series 4. It's such a lovely set, and you appreciate it with that wide shot there, with the beautiful utensils, and in fact we've got the wall kind of going up almost to the ceiling there. The tiling, just lovely. And this looks so realistic as well. He's doing this papier-mâché. I don't quite know what they would have used. It's probably maybe some Vaseline in it and a wetter substance with it, I'm not sure. Now, in reality, it wouldn't quite be that sticky, would it? Maybe. Almost like super glue. Having tension there. And there's a few nods to glue in this episode, some great lines coming up. So look at that lovely shot there. Now it feels like it really is Halloween. We've actually, here we are, we're at Halloween already, the youngsters with their masks on. We've got Billy Rabbit. We didn't see him in that opening scene at Ratty's, but that's fine. Now Billy's costume still exists. I came across it when I was helping out with the archive and recognised his mask instantly. Lovely that that's still around. And interestingly, this is one of those episodes that would have been easier to animate, so I assume this might have been quicker than some others, because obviously when the character's wearing a mask you don't have to deal with the lip sync. And you certainly see it with Toad. I mean, with the shadows as well, maybe you'd have to manipulate Billy a little bit, but you can get away with a lot with the shadows. And here we have Toad and his costume, which I'm happy to say does exist as well. It stood for years when I worked at Cosgrove Hall in the costume department. It was just on display. Beautiful thing. It was lovely to see it in person and handle it. And beautifully made. And that was, of course, missing, because, of course, it fell off. Now, the line that he says there, why doesn't anyone make decent glue anymore? We've already seen his gloves being stuck together. And then he contradicts himself shortly as well. And it's a weird mask, isn't it? It's not scary, really. It's just a bit weird. It's just a bit, you can't help laughing at it. He's obviously tried, but it's not. Bushy eyebrows and of course Toad scares himself with it. Lovely animation here of him trying to remove the mask. Always difficult shots to get across. Actually taking the time to do all the stepping around. Here we go.
Lou, why do they have to make the glue so strong?
So contradicts himself. Why'd I have to make the glue so strong? He now says. He's constantly contradicting himself.
Lou, someone at the door. And I can't.
And then we get to see more of the Toad Hall set. Lovely wide shot coming up. With him about to fall down the stairs. Here we go. Look at that, how it's decorated. Isn't that beautiful? All the pumpkins.
Oh, it's all right.
And the food is laid out. The youngsters.
So it's you.
And there's something creepy about Toad Hall in Halloween as well, isn't it? This vast hall. You know, it echoes those other episodes like The Ghost at Mole End and Winter Haunts, which I haven't reviewed yet, but when you've got this vast hall and there's little light in it, and yeah, something creepy about it. So they're not freaked out by a Toad mask at all. They just turn around and say, "Oh, we just seen a monster," and they're not referring to him at all.
Come inside and shut the door.
And I suspect this is a firm favourite of many people, many fans. It's just got so much life in it, and it's a lovely idea. Because you told us you were. Way David Jason delivers this. Brilliant. Now, my only criticism of this scene is it's a little bit slow. I mean, that's funny, that's good with Toad stuttering, but from this point, it gets a bit slow. So he's got an idea, and it's just a bit, goes on a bit.
It wasn't a monster. It was Mr. Toad. No.
You think, what was it?
It's only Mr. Mole.
And it's a bit disappointing. Oh, it's only Mr. Mole or Mr. Rat.
It wasn't. It seemed.
And when I look at Toad's costume as well, I mean, like I say, it was on display for years, but what was missing were the hands and the feet. The rest of it was there, so the hands and feet would have been rubber latex. You can kind of tell with the hands there, they look like rubber gloves, but they're actually specially made hands, painted red, of course, and the feet as well. And all the feet for all the characters would have been that rubber latex with the foam inside, and as a result, not many of them have lasted too well. There are a lot in the archive, but I haven't come across those ones. But that's, of course, because you've got to animate them. You know, you can't just have fabric. You've got to be able to get the detail that you want in the finger movements and the toe movements and so on.
Listen, I wonder if you could just help me off with this mask for now. How, Mr. Toad? We'll just get hold of it and pull, you silly child. Yes.
I mean, actually, the rest of Toad's costume is marvellous. It's just the mask was always a bit odd. You can just kind of get glimpses of his face from every now and then, and kind of his eyes are almost shut, and they just, you know, remained with that sort of look. And like I say, didn't manipulate the lips. I love this move, and I really feel the physics working there. It's marvellous. It would have been tricky to animate.
It's off, Mr. Toad. I know it's off, you stupid. I know it's off.
Wobble of the lips here. I can't do that. I don't know how David Jason did that. I said it.
You can carry this till I need it.
Now, all of this section is wonderfully creepy, and when I showed my kids, I mean, my children are very young anyway, but when they first saw this, they were really freaked out by it, and so they should be. It is a scary scene, and that's obviously partly due to the lighting. We just make out Toad and Billy, the lovely light from the pumpkin, but we get all the silhouettes of the trees. They're in the wildwood, so certainly the scariest place to be in the area. And we have this music that was actually pointed out to me recently, that it's actually stock music, so it wasn't written especially for the episode. And I forget now, I think the person who mentioned it said that it was also used in an episode of Count Duckula, which makes sense. And there's a few occasions in episodes where we get that. Apparently in the tournament there's some music there that's from elsewhere. And you can find this music somewhere online, so there is a link, and I'll see if I can track it down and share with everybody. It's interesting though that they use stop music, and you have these fine composers, but maybe they're just up against it with other projects, and maybe it was almost an afterthought. Oh, we need this now, we need this quickly. And of course there's always access to copyright-free stock music. And this is a wonderful little moment where Toad looks behind him. And now here is the classic effect of trees going with the camera, and the trees end up framing Toad. So the trees would have been anchored to the camera as it went. Really, really wonderfully done. And we do have the weasels very briefly, but the weasels are as freaked out as the youngsters. And you do believe it's a monster, the way he's got the smoke going up there and it looks like two eyes. And maybe it was just me, but as a child I didn't really, understand what it was. That it was what Badger's about to reveal, a steam traction engine. I always thought it was some sort of monster, or someone's having a joke at Halloween, but maybe it's just me being incredibly naive. Now, unusually we see Billy wearing a black jumper, and that would have been obviously part of his costume. Lovely animation of Billy spinning around quickly, following him. I always liked that. The shivering is nice to do, and then obviously if achieved by going up, down, getting that vibration effect. Very, very effective, but actually simple, really, to do.
Badger! Very good heavens! Are you ill, Toad? No, I'm not ill. Well, I'm sort of ill. It's Badger. There's a monster in the...
Even the hand there trembling, that sort of shake that he has. Really nicely done.
You mean there is a monster in the world? It's rather a fanciful way of putting it, but you said you knew there was. It was a horrible... Toad, are you sure you're not ill? I don't know, Badger, I don't know. I don't like the sound of this, Toad.
I like how Badger sort of, hints that there is a bot monster, he's agreeing, but then the key is the fact that he says it's a fanciful way of putting it. Love how we see the door open there. Usually the door will be shut, but seeing Toad's bedroom through to the hall, that's a lovely touch. So I assume they would have, this bedroom would have existed as its own set. They probably would have had a section put in. Would have been simpler for them to just close the door, but it adds a bit of depth there. I really like that. Never really picked up on it before. Now this, you could argue, is very slow, but it's purposely slow, and I like it. Look how that's controlled. He's completely in the daze. But they put a blink in there, almost like a realisation, so that it's good to keep Toad completely looking ahead up until that point. Same here as well. Just that very nice control of the lips there. Little glance back at.
Hello, Badger. Hello. Must have overslept.
I know he's trying to.
Oh, have you been there long?
A bit, of course, he's being Toad again as he try and disguise the fact that he was scared of a monster and pretending that it never happened. He's talking in his sleep.
You've been wide awake. My eyes wide open, were they? Of course your eyes were open. I do that from time to time. Eyes wide open, carrying on a conversation, fast asleep. I've never heard such nonsense. I said, did you hear the bad news about the interaction engine? Toad? Some of the little ones were quite terrified. They came here last night for help.
So Toad just goes on, doesn't he? And Badger knows that he's just being an idiot and trying to disguise it. But he's not fooling anyone, not Badger, certainly. Love that. Bit of a continuity error though there, because it wasn't as dark as that before. They just darkened it for that shot. as if the curtains were open before. And it was before Badger came in, I suppose. And there's Toad being frightened of his own mask again. Lovely touch. Now this is one of those episodes where I didn't see the very ending until later on, because on the Autumn Antics video we cut out the credits, don't we? So here. So just the youngster saying Mr. Toad, and Toad sort of almost waking up. That was missing because you just go from page pill to the next episode and you miss out the titles. You don't always get the very ending. And I mentioned that with Harvest as well. The hiccups continue at the end of Harvest. Anyway, so I love that episode. It's a real favourite, a real classic. But one I like even more is the next one, Remember. Again, with that Autumn Antics video, they just seem to get better and better. By the time we got to that one, I thought, wow, this is superb. So funny, so witty. And we've got Paul Berry doing, again, Paul Berry at his best. Some wonderful animation of Toad in that one. So look forward to it. One thing that just kind of struck me, though, is that episode at the end, of course, is the 1st of November, because it's the morning after Halloween. And yet Bonfire Night is then only 4 days away. And at the beginning of the Bonfire Night episode, which is the next episode in the series, Toad mentions that it's Bonfire Night in less than a week. Now 4 days is less than a week, assuming the events take place on the same day, which I get the feeling it doesn't. It's probably at least a day later, which makes it 3 days away. So you think, well, I know I'm overthinking it, but continuity-wise, it didn't quite marry up. But that doesn't matter. They, they're marvellous scripts. They wanted to get an episode out of each of those key events, and I love that. So really looking forward to that. So like I say, Kidnapping of Toad is on hold at the moment. Apologies for that, for the slight mess up there. I have recorded my video doing it, so I will use that in 2 weeks' time. So it will be Remember next Sunday. So try to remember to watch that one. See what I did there. So remember. And then of course we do Kidnapping of Toad the week after, and then we'll pick up with the schedule that I've planned. So happy Halloween, everyone, whatever you're doing. I will be driving up to Manchester that evening, carrying some bits and pieces. Wonderful if you can join me at the event on the 1st of November at the Waterside in Sale, where I am doing a talk. It's an all-day event, lots of talks, all about animation, preservation and collecting and archiving. And then on the Saturday there's like what they call a Puppet Masters workshop day. Talks from 3 key people in the industry, including Brian Truman, writer of these scripts. So if you can make it, there's lots to see, lots to look forward to. But then of course 2 weeks after that the exhibition opens, that I've been sort of semi-involved with. So do get down there. I think that runs till January, so I will post details again on here. So thanks again, all the best, and I shall see you next week for Remember. Cheers and see you then.